calls were perfect. The offer was solid. The pricing made sense. The gap was somewhere between the yes and the signature. And one simple change fixed it completely. My client had great discovery calls. Prospect said yes, asked her for pricing, stayed excited throughout the entire walkthrough, and then she'd send the agreement and they would disappear. She couldn't figure out what was breaking. Let me show you what was happening and how we solved it. I'm James Schramko, and this is a common in-services business problem. You get on a call, walk through your process and show the value, answer every question. The prospect says, send everything over. They seem absolutely ecstatic. You send the agreement, then nothing. Follow-up emails, crickets, or they say they need to think about it. My client was stuck in this pattern. Her service is a high ticket, monthly recurring. It's between $4,000 to $8,000, and there's a setup fee of around $8,000. So these are not impulse buys, and she understood that, but something wasn't adding up. The calls were great. People understood the value. She even showed how it pays for itself. It had a very strong ROI argument, but she still lost them at the agreement stage. Most service providers think the problem is the offer or the pricing, or maybe they need better objection handling. But my client was doing all of that right. The problem was actually the timing. Between the call ending and the agreement being signed, something had changed. Perhaps they'd talked to someone, got cold feet, been outreached by a competitor, saw something else, the urgency faded. That gap is where deals die. I knew this coming from a sales background. The decay rate on deals is so significant that a week or two later, some people would forget they even spoke to you. So here's what we implemented: the assisted close on the call itself. When the prospect says, this is amazing, send through the agreement, you don't end the call. You say, great, let me get you started right now. Can you please open up this link? And you have a simple deposit page, $1,000 to reserve their spot, non-refundable, holds their place for 7 days while you sort out the rest of the agreement. If they'll put their card details in right then, they're real. If they won't, you'll find out straight away and you'll have a real objection surfacing immediately. Not 3 days later when they ghost, and right now you can address it if they're on the call. This is how I used to sell. We called it hurt money. You have to have enough deposit that it would hurt if you don't go through with it, if they walk away, but not so much that they can't do it on the spot. $2,000 on an $85,000 Mercedes-Benz was a very appropriate sum. In fact, the last car that I purchased, I'm pretty sure I put $5,000 deposit. That's enough for me to not worry about thinking I'll go and check the price somewhere else. 40% on furniture orders is very common. And for my client service, $1,000 makes sense. Such a low commitment. And even big companies still have a credit card for incidental purchases. So this is why I think it works. Most people think asking for money too early kills deals, but actually it qualifies them. If someone won't commit $1,000 while they're excited on the call, they definitely won't commit $8,000 later when the excitement wears off, and you are not being pushy, you're being effective. My client was spending hours on calls with people who were never going to buy, and they just didn't want to say no on the phone. They couldn't wait till the phone hung up so they could just put it in their rearview mirror. The deposit separated real buyers from tire kickers immediately. And this is the other piece. Some prospects said they need to check with someone, a business partner, a spouse, CFO. It's a very common objection, the accountant. And that's a valid objection, but it needs to come out on the call. If you get that a lot, then I would suggest you don't do the call unless the stakeholders are present. Now, if Freddie needs to be involved to sign off, then why isn't Freddie on this call? Let's get him on now. If they can't, that tells you that you're not dealing with the prime decision maker, so save yourself the follow-up. In fact, I used to ask very early on in the call, who will be the decision maker for this purchase? If they tell me that it's not someone who's present on the call, then I would actually reschedule for when they could be available. The framework is simple. Just don't end discovery calls without a commitment. Either they commit now or you find out why they can't. In sales language, this is called an advance versus a continuation, which is really making no real progress. No more sending through agreements into the void, hoping they come back. And this is the kind of thing we talk about in my mentor program. I have weekly group calls with entrepreneurs. I'm looking for these sort of things and I apply my own experience to the situation. I don't help you with just what to say. I help you with when to say it and how to read the room. My client had another challenge too. Prospects would say they've locked into a competitor for 6 more months, 3 more months, and they want to work with my client, but they're stuck in a contract. Now, a lot of service providers hear that and give up. Okay, reach out when you're free. Sure, put it in the diary, but there is a better way. First, address the sunk costs. The reason they're talking to you is because they think they'll be better off. If they don't think they're going to be better off, they will not be buying from you. So work out with them. Listen, you've got 7 months left with this other supplier, but it's not getting you the results you wanted. If you start with us 7 months earlier, you could more than make up for whatever you pay for them. Every single month you wait costs you money, real money that you can calculate, that shows up in your P&L. Second, sometimes ethically, you can help them get out of a bad contract. Approach the vendor. Sometimes if they just go to the vendor and they explain, listen, this isn't delivering the result that I was promised or hoping for. It's not, what you sold me is not being delivered. So I'd like to exit early. And if it's okay, and be very polite about this, I would love it if I could just get a pro rata refund for the unused portion. I've helped several clients do exactly this with other coaching programs, with software programs. I gave them the exact words to get them released from contracts that were not working for them. And you know what? In the vast majority of the cases, the other people knew that they were unhappy. They knew they weren't getting the result, and they were more than happy to release them early. Third option is just bridge them. Lock them in now at a current pricing or absorb some of your margin to do a light setup work until they're free. So give them a low scope activity to do for the next few months while you get them into position to start, but lock them in now with their deposit. Start the full service when they're fully out of their other supplier. Always be ethical with this. My client can't afford to lose 6 months of potential revenue just because someone's trapped in a bad contract because they made a decision with someone else. And the prospect can't afford to waste 6 or 7 months on something that doesn't work. These are judgment calls, and which strategy fits which situation comes to play. That's exactly what I help with, me and my little tool as well. I got an AI software tool that helps with strategic choices. We load it up with context, and together we look for avenues out of situations. So the specific tactical decisions your business faces will require a different solution. But instead of having to try and figure it out yourself, or to have a little plug away at ChatGPT and see if it can figure it out, and by the way, the chances are it probably can't. This is not theory. This is actual scenarios from the people that I've been helping. So here is where my client is now. She's going to be closing more deals and losing fewer prospects after doing great calls because she's getting real objections on the call and actual orders instead of a promise to sign something and send it back later. And she doesn't have to waste any time on people who are never going to buy. The deposit page will take less than an hour to set up, and the word tracks are very simple to put on that. Always put a testimonial on your shopping cart page. The impact is immediate and ongoing. A lot of service businesses are leaking revenue at the very last point, at that conversion stage. They do everything right up until that signature. And if you're having great calls but losing deals at the agreement stage, you are not alone. There is a specific set of frameworks for closing high-ticket service deals. It's different than product sales and different than low-ticket offers. The mentor program is built for service business owners who know their offer is solid, but something's breaking somewhere. Maybe it's the sales process. And we work on the specific gaps in your business. I have a very comprehensive diagnostic that finds them, especially ones you're not even aware of, where the prospects drop off and where there's objections coming up. And we will get past that and we will get commitment without being pushy. If that's relevant to you where you're at, then check out jamesschramko.com. I've got the details of my mentor program there, and we can have a look at your situation and figure out if that program makes sense. No pressure. I'll just give you the clear next steps so that you make the right moves only, but with all of my experience, and you'll hear what other challenges other members are having on the live weekly group calls. Because the worst thing is knowing deals should close, but watching them slip away.